live on Facebook. Hello, how are you? Happy Tuesday. You are here with me, Nora Ginty from Nora Ginty Coaching for this week's Tuesday bite-sized training. If you are watching, let me know. I'm going to see if I can pop it up here on my phone as well so I can see all of the comments that will come up. Technology is amazing, isn't it? So let me know if you're watching. Let me know if you're with me live or if you're watching the replay. It's hashtag replay. Let's talk about motivation and harnessing the power of motivation. Who here has had a goal and been super, super excited about it, and then you start moving towards your goal and it's great gusto in the first few days, and quickly it slopes off and you give up, or you're just not feeling it or whatever. And now it's flashing into my head as I'm saying this is New Year's resolutions. I mean, everybody does it. We eat so much junk over Christmas and drink so much crap that we decide on the 1st of January, that's it, I quit. I'm going to be clean for a month. And it lasts about 4 days until you realize that it's not all it's cracked up to be, or you forget what your focus is. So I want to share a few minutes of my time with this training today to talk about motivation and to give you tips that will help you to harness the power of your motivation. And basically what I mean, in a nutshell, it's how do you keep going on the days where you just don't feel like it? Because we all have those days. Not every day is full of excitement and full of motivation for you. So let's look at that. So motivation. Okay, so first of all, as you're following me here and following this conversation, have a think about what you want to focus on at the minute. So for example, it could be your business, it could be maybe you're working towards healthy eating, it could be a weight loss goal, it could be anything. So think of a goal that you're working towards at the moment and look at your motivation levels around that. Often it's up and down and up and down, and that's okay. It's life. It's law of opposites. It's up, must come down. So that's her gravity. The law of opposites is in up and down. So look at the motivation levels around that. So it's okay to, have that up and down motion going on. But what we don't want is when you're feeling demotivated for a day or two, you don't want to get into this black hole almost, where one day becomes 2, becomes 3, becomes a week, becomes 2 weeks, and then it's just so much more difficult to get back on track. So I'm not seeing any comments there, so that's cool. Last week they didn't come up until afterwards, so if anybody is commenting, I will comment afterwards. I can see that the subtitles are coming up on Facebook as well. I don't actually know where they come from, just to be very transparent about that. Someone said they really enjoyed them last week. I was like, what subtitles? Okay, so motivation. So we don't want to get into this space where we start putting things off, where we get demotivated and the time builds and builds and builds. And let me know if that happens to you, because I know it used to always happen to me. I mean, that was my life. If you take smoking, for example, it was a habit that I really wanted to give up. I mean, I didn't like smoking. I didn't like anything about it at the end of my journey with it. And yet I couldn't stop. But I would smoke and feel horrible and promise the next Monday was the day. And then by Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, I would decide, actually, do you know what? I'm just going to cut down. Or actually, do you know what? I'm going to just have 2 or 3 a day. I'll just have them after 2 p.m. We put our minds, put all these rules in place. And we're doing that. Really, it's giving yourself a way out of it. And that was my life. So let me know if this is happening for you at the minute. Pop it into the comments. Let me know if motivation is a problem for you. Give me the best emoji that resonates with your lack of motivation when it hits. But there are simple tips, okay? So, first of all, I mean, I talk about roots a lot, okay? Coming from the roots and making sure that the groundwork is done before you plow into all these big shifts and changes and goals and all of that. And what that is there enough desire and passion around your goal? So when you think about your goal, whatever that is, whatever you're focusing on for the duration of this call, um, how do you feel? Okay. Is it something that you really want? I mean, is it something that you really want? I mean, in terms of smoking, you need to have a strong why. Because if you don't, the minute the mind starts going, this is too hard, let's just cut down instead, there's no reasoning there because you haven't built up a strong enough why. So do that. Eating is another one, healthy eating. You need to build up a strong why. And that's of course is in string it's linked to um your why is linked to desire. Okay, so why, for example, do you want to eat better? Maybe you want to eat better because you're going on holiday for um, a couple of weeks and you want to be able to fit in a swimsuit, or maybe you want to be able to run around with your grandchildren, or maybe you want to conceive, and that's a reason for your weight journey. Okay, so what we're doing is looking at what do I want and why. Get that desire going. Start visualizing and picturing the result. The result, the result. What we're doing is creating new neural pathways to the desired outcome. Okay, so we're excited about it, we're motivated about it. And then what happens is when you start the journey, of course, you start getting this, oh, you can just have one chocolate bar, or maybe we're just going to cut down, we're not going to give up chocolate altogether, or whatever it is for you. Um, your mind can connect back to, well, does that fit with what I want? And now obviously when your mind starts thinking, okay, let's just have one, or whatever it is, it's giving you those excuses to go back on your goal. Then you can question yourself, well, okay, do I want to go back on this then? Will I just cut down? And then you think very briefly about your why, your desire. Well, I can have a chocolate bar if I want to, but I might not be fitting in the outfit I want for summer, you know? And you're then connecting the why, and suddenly um, it's easier to stick with on your path. Okay. Um, Often people set big goals. Now, I am a coach that will, bring in the big quantum goals for you. You want big goals. We do want to be, dreaming and having this big vision board and absolutely working towards it. But in terms of our daily life, we want to be bringing them down and picking one or two of those bite-sized goals to be working on at a time so that we don't get overwhelmed, which will cause lack of motivation. So pick one or two habits maximum at a time. So for example, if it's food related, pick one or two areas that you'll work on at a time. You don't want to go all out massive change and all of this because it's going to hit your system hard. Give it time. Pick one or two, master them, and move on to another. So it could be, I'll drink 2 liters of water a day. It could be I'm not going to eat chocolate during the week anymore. It could be I'm not going to eat after 6 p.m. So that you're not doing too much too soon. And the New Year's resolutions, that's exactly what it is. People are coming to the New Year and they're like, that's it, I'm totally not eating crap food anymore. And you eat crap food come Friday because you forgot how it makes your system feel, and you didn't build that desire. There was no end result, there was no visualization, there was no, what is it I want? How can I connect with that? Scientifically, how can I get my neural pathways rewiring in a different direction? That's what you want to do. It's a process. It's not just that I've had enough, because it's fickle. It's got no roots. It's got no grounding. It's got no desire. So we want that. We need that for success. Okay, so picking one or two habits, yes. And here's a great one. This worked for me a couple of weeks ago, right? So we can be in the best space possible, okay? And I will tell you, as a woman, there's a certain time of the month where I am just not at my best. And actually, it can be like boom. And how do I deal with that? Well, I had noticed for the last couple of months that actually I was the person that was sliding down and, not getting stuff done, not feeling that motivation. And I found the perfect trick to come out of that very, very quickly. So, as a woman, if I'm not feeling it, if it's a certain part of my month where I really desire rest, well, then I am going to rest. So this is the whole thing that I teach as well. If you're, let it be easy. Don't push yourself to do stuff if your body's not feeling it. But here's the trick: we don't go into sitting in a corner eating chocolate. Okay, have one square if you want to. What we're doing is opening up a blog, a book, YouTube, TED Talks. What we're doing is opening up something that is related to our goal. Okay, so for example, that could be a book for somebody that's working on food. It could be a book on intuitive eating. It could be a TED talk for somebody that was, in that space and overcome it. It could be something inspirational, motivational. And here's the thing: when you tap in to the area that you're working on in that space, it raises and builds up your motivation. So even if your body is calling to rest, or maybe even, you've been forced to rest and you just um and in that space where you can move forward, then open that book, read that story, watch that YouTube video or that TED talk, and get excited about what is coming for you. Because even if we're not physically working towards our goal, if for whatever reason, whether it's because we want rest or we have to rest or whatever it is, we can still use this and we can still connect. Okay, we can still connect with what it is that we are seeking, which builds up that motivation. It gets you going again. And if you think about the black hole that I speak about, what it does is, by connecting with your goals, it's bringing you up instead of down. So yes, we will be going, there are waves. I mean, anyone in life or business that tells you that there are no waves, I mean, it's just not true. Okay, everybody has waves in life, the waves in life. But what we're doing is we don't want massive spikes and drops. We don't want that because it's overwhelming. It causes so much effort. It takes so much energy. So what we're doing is um, managing that better. Okay, managing that better by harnessing the motivation, by watching and noticing when it begins to dip, and actually taking that power back by dipping into things like the books, the TED Talks, and all of that. And of course, visualization. I mean, I'm always talking about visualization. Visualization is huge. So, maybe some mornings you don't want to get out of bed and start work at 6 a.m. And maybe you have that choice. And guess what? That's okay. So, we're not going to lie in bed and say, should have got up this morning. I should have got up. I should have done that work. You know the phrase "don't should on yourself" because that's one of the most destructive things that we can do to ourselves. We don't want to do that. We're lying in bed, okay? We're deciding my body needs rest this morning. Rest. Rest. Give your body what it asks for, okay? And spend that time visualizing. Spend 10 minutes putting yourself in your desired future. I mean, it's not great effort, is it? To dream of all the things that you want, to pretend you're already there. We're pretending, we're visualizing. Get into that spot, get excited about it, because you are doing more work than you can possibly imagine by using this. And what you're doing is making it easy. What if it was easy? What if we didn't put all of this pressure on ourselves? What if we allowed the motivation to, spend its days gently moving through us? Then we will never come to the stages where we're 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off and 4 weeks on and 4 weeks off. I have a comment here. I can see a comment, but I'm afraid if I click on it, it's going to start the video, but I will try it anyway. Hello, beautiful. Hi, Linda. How are you? Good to see you. So yeah, absolutely visualization. Get it going. I mean, every day. I do a school run for Eva. It's 10 minutes every day, about 5 days a week. And for that 10 minutes when I'm in that car, I am the future version of myself, always, always. And the future version of myself 3 years ago is already in my past, because now the future version of myself is much bigger than it was 3 years ago. So you keep meeting, that version, that upgraded version, because that's how it happens. That's how you build the future that you desire. It's by becoming that future person now. It's never by waiting till tomorrow, because actually tomorrow never comes. So don't ever wait until tomorrow. You want to be picking at least 10 minutes of your day every day where you are that future version of yourself. Absolutely, 100%. Because it's the neural pathways, it's how the magic happens. So make sure you are doing that. And then the last one that I wrote, which is huge for me in my life, I love receiving gifts, is reward yourself often on this journey. Because often we have big goals and we're working towards them, and life is great. But when things don't go our way, when we don't bag that client, or when everything goes wrong, or you miss a deadline, or nobody in your house is happy, the children are complaining about the food, when everything is going tits up, guess what? Reward yourself. Okay, you're not rewarding yourself. So when all of these things are going on in your life, now bear in mind, everything I mentioned there, they're tiny little things that we don't need to get attached to. But we're human, and some days we do get attached to those little irky things that happen in our daily life. And often that is because your cup isn't full. And if your cup isn't full, if you're not getting enough sleep, enough attention to thyself, if you're not getting enough exercise, or if you're eating poorly, your cup is not full. This is what's happening. And then everything that goes on around you is causing you a lot of heartache. even if that heartache is, I just not feeling it today. I need a week off. I need a holiday. No, you need to reward yourself now. Don't put off that holiday. Don't put off your needs or your spa days. Reward yourself now. So reward yourself often. And what I do is I set little goals for myself. So I love games. I love fun and I love variety and flexibility. That's just the sort of person I am, and it's how I work as well, even with my clients. So what I do for me and what works really well is I give myself little goals. So I say, okay, so what I'm going to do is um, for my next client, the next client I sign, I'm going to buy, let's pretend it's a watch I've been looking at. Okay, so I don't know what it is I'm looking at the moment. So I'll see something I like. I'm like, oh, I'd really love that. And I say, you know what? I'm going to leave that in that basket. And when I bring in my next client, I'm going to go and buy that. And it's fun. So then, it brings in that bit of excitement. It brings in that, brings in a bit of fun and games and um, just allows it to be much simpler. Takes off the pressure. So don't put pressure on yourself. Let it flow as much as you can. Let it flow. Because when you let your life flow and you let the circumstances flow, again, you're stopping this. Okay, so let's wrap it all up in a lovely little bow. So harnessing the power of motivation. Make sure that there is enough desire in that goal in the first place, that you have a passion in it, and that you have connected with your why you want it. Make sure that you work on one or two small habits at a time. Don't go all out, with whistles and bells and all of that sort of stuff, because it's one of the biggest ways to fail. Okay, think of New Year's resolutions. Then, if you're feeling the lack of motivation, if this is happening, which it will, we're all human, rather than hitting the self-destruct button or allowing that to happen and just following it there, read a book, watch the TEDx talks, get something that excites you. There's a lovely video on YouTube I love. It's all about attitude. And whenever anything peeves me off, I watch that video and it's like, boom, straight back up. It's find what works for you. Put those plans in place. That could be one of your habits, because when you do it for long enough, it will become automatic and you'll stop the peaks and troughs. So yes, visualization, of course, as always. You should be spending at least 10 minutes a day visualizing your goal having materialized in whatever way you want to. Okay. And reward yourself often. And if you're watching this now and you can't think of the last time you rewarded yourself for something, then I want you to go and reward yourself now. Go and reward yourself. Go and buy something, whether it's a book on the book depository, or whether it's a fancy pen from eBay or Amazon, or a local gift shop, or a bunch of flowers in the shop. Put them up on your kitchen table or your island and smell them and appreciate yourself, because that is what will harness the power of motivation. So go and be awesome. But bring these little tips into your daily life, knowing that it's the little things that create the big things. So go and have a beautiful week. Let me know if you've watched this, what you've got from it. Let me know in comments. Just say hi so I know who's following the training. And it lights me up to see your comments and see that you're getting benefit from these trainings, because that's why I'm here. I'm here to support you to reach your big goals. Design and reach your big goals. That is what it is all about. So I'm sending you lots and lots of love, and we'll see you next Tuesday for next Tuesday's Bite Size Training. Bye.